I got scammed trying to change my Delta flight, and not only did I lose a good chunk of money, I also lost my ticket back home to see my sister before her wedding. In this video, I'm gonna tell you how it happened, why customer service woman Melinda is now my absolute hero, and how you are hopefully able to avoid this. Yes, the story is true. I fell for a scam and I can't believe that I did. I feel embarrassed, to be honest, and I feel ashamed. It's really weird because I never thought that I would fall for something like this, and I always wondered how they get so far and how they are going to be so authentic that you just go along with what they say to the point where you give them your credit card information. But they did. They got me. So how that happened was that I had a flight coming over here in last June to surprise Dylan, and I was supposed to leave on August 2nd. So his dad and Sarah actually got that flight for me because that was their gift as a surprise for Dylan. Then it turned out that I'm going to stay longer because I wrote my bachelor thesis and I was like, I didn't really have a summer here, I want to stay a little longer. So we changed it to November. Then we spontaneously got married, and now I'm still here and it is March. So right after our wedding in October, I had to change my flight, which was supposed to be in November by then. I wanted to change it to April because my sister is gonna get married in May, and I really wanted to surprise her and be there for her and just have that joyful moment that I was able to experience when I surprised Dylan. So when I called in November, that was my very first time ever changing a flight, because usually I guess I'm pretty good at deciding when I leave and then actually leave. And I asked Dylan, how am I going to change this flight? I've never done this before. And he said, you know what, you just go to the Delta customer service, I call them, and they walk you through it, and they're gonna find a flight for you and they change it. You just give them your confirmation number, and then by the end you give them your credit card information, so you pay for it, and then it's done. So I remember using my phone, just like my old Android, and I went online and typed in, I don't know, Delta customer service, went to what I thought is their website, clicked onto the customer service, and called that number. So the first thing that should have been surprising to me is that people told me in the past that it can take a long time until Delta is actually picking up. And the guy that I had picked up really quickly. So he picked up quickly. I wasn't thinking anything. He sounded like he was from India, I would say, just based on his accent, which isn't surprising. I feel like a lot of people or a lot of airlines outsource their customer service. So the first thing he asked, which Delta would do too, is like, hey, what can I do for you? And I said, well, I want to change my flight to April. And he said, that sounds great. I just need your name, please, and your confirmation number. And I said, sure. So I gave him my full name and I gave him my confirmation number. And I have the Delta app on my phone, so I had it open to tell him my confirmation number, name, and everything. So I was sitting there with my phone, looking at my app, and he said, I'll just need 5 minutes. I was listening to some music playing in the background while he was doing his work. He got back to the phone and said, well, I got a flight for you. It's this and that one. I said, that sounds perfect. How much is it? And he said, rounding it up about $2, $500. It was like, I had a pain in my tummy. I felt nauseous. And that should have been another big clue. But I have never done this before. I didn't know how much it usually costs to change a flight. I heard that Dylan's parents paid $170 last time they did that to change to a November flight. So I was like, why is this so expensive? Can I do another option, something earlier or later? And he was like, sure, let me just check. So I listened to the music again for 7-8 minutes. It can take a long time sometimes. He was doing his job and he got back to the phone and he said, well, there are other options for flights, but the other options are even more expensive. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? If the other options are even more expensive, I really have to get home to my sister's wedding. I can't miss that. I already missed my niece's first Christmas. So I was sitting there thinking, what the heck am I going to do? And I said, why is this so expensive? And he said, well, there's a changing fee of $170. And the flights during April are just way more expensive, so you have to pay for the difference. And I was like, that makes sense. That made sense to me. I was like, yeah, I had a pretty good deal. I think my flight, I don't know, was maybe like 700 the first time. Right now, the flights I'm looking at are like 1,500. So I was like, it sounds right. So I was like, pain in my stomach, but I was like, okay, it's my sister's wedding. I'm gonna go. Like, sure, let's do this. He said, great. Let me just hear your credit card number and your security code. And I passed that on, and then we had a nice goodbye, and I hung up, and that was everybody in November. I wanted to mention is that he was changing the flight, and I could see all the changes he did on my phone. So I was logged in onto the Delta app. I had my phone there, and I could see on my phone the changes being made. So I trusted him. Then I was asked to book a seat. I went to the Delta app and clicked on the airplane that was supposed to take me over to Germany, selected my seat and wanted to save it. And I couldn't. And I was like, that's weird. I don't know why. So I called and told them the same number, everybody. Went to the Delta website, the same number, and I called. And he picked up and I was like, it sounds like the exact same guy. And it's not just the accent, I swear he sounded like the exact same guy. So I was like, that's weird. How random is that? There must be so many people working there. That's strange. Like, what are the chances? I was on the phone and everything sounded normal. Then he got kind of confusing. I don't remember how, but I got to a point where I was like, Dylan, can you just take over? Like, I'm German, it's your language, so you have, I don't know, some advantages here, just please. Like, I don't understand what he's saying. He was like fast and he was kind of like all over the place. Dylan even looked confused. So Dylan got on the phone and then they selected a seat and we were like, well, just like a window seat if open would be nice. He said, well, sure, I got everything set. That is $180. And we're like, both of us, like he changed a flight before. I haven't changed a flight before, but I booked my seats before. And usually it doesn't cost you anything. And if anything, when you upgrade, it's like $30 or $60. So I was like, we just want the free seats. Like, we don't want an upgrade or anything. He said, well, you can do an upgrade. That's just like this much more. And we're like, we don't want an upgrade. We want the free seats. Where are the free seats? And he said, I am giving you the best offer. Like, I am providing you the best offer. And this is really the cheapest thing you can do. And Dylan was like, no, thank you. And the guy was like, well, sir, if you go to the airport and you don't have a seat, you're gonna have to pay so much more. If you call back and you wanna change your seat, the prices are gonna go up. So he pressured us and scared us. But both of us were like, usually I just show up at the airport if I'm by myself and then they give me a seat. Like, I don't have to pay for a seat. It's like, no, it's $180. It's gonna be so expensive if you don't do this. And thanks to Dylan and thanks to both of us having dealt with this before, we're like, no, sorry, thank you, bye-bye. Hung up. And then the plan was, I talked to somebody at the airport and figure out what this was all about. Dylan and I still didn't think that this was a scam. We just thought this is a guy who wants to make some money or get some provision of selling us the big seats. I don't know. In hindsight, clues, you just have to listen and tune in to what your heart and your tummy says, and they will be right. So I didn't go to the airport yet, but the other day Dylan's mom, who works like a travel agent, was here, and I told her the story. I was like, I changed my flight, it cost so much. I felt like I got scammed. This is how much it cost. Ta-da. And then I told her about the seat changing thing. She was like, that's so weird. Like, I'm traveling so much. I have been booking flights and she's really good at this. Like, she was a radiologist, but she could be working for an airline and like doing all of that. So she was like, that sounds weird. Please, like, give me a confirmation number. I'm gonna call them and I'm gonna talk to them. And that woman can talk. So the other night, like 3 days after that, in the evening, she called and she said, hey, everybody, I'm on the phone with Delta with this really wonderful woman called Melinda. And she said that she really wants to hear your story. Not knowing that Julie, Dylan's mom, already told that woman, Melinda, my story. I was like, yeah, I wanted to like pick my seat. And it cost me $180 after I already paid $500 for the April flight. And that was like in the beginning of March that we had this. Now it's mid-March. And that woman says, I'm sorry to tell you, I'm kind of getting teary. Oh gosh. I just really wanted to be home. I'm so mad. I'm so mad at them. Okay, so, okay, so that woman said, I'm sorry to tell you, you got scammed. And because you didn't really change your flight got canceled, or your ticket is invalid since the 18th of February. And I was like, huh? So, like, what did you just say? So I was like, so it's not just the C that I don't have right now. It's not just that I fell for a scam that apparently cost me $500. I also don't have no ticket anymore to go home. I'm gonna miss my sister's wedding. Like, are you kidding me? Oh, I was mad and shocked. And that woman on the phone was a hero. I got lucky. I'm gonna tell you how. I got really lucky. But imagine, and I looked it up. I looked up this whole scam thing, and there are people showing up at the airport still not knowing that wanting to fly to their sister's wedding, or their mom that's like really sick and at the hospital, and who knows how much time they have left. Like, there are big things that people fly for, and they show up at the airport and having this vacation book that they saved up for so long, and they show up and have no ticket because of these scammers. Everybody, that's not okay. Excuse my language. That's not okay. That's not okay. So this is why I'm telling you this, because I don't want that to happen to you. I booked a flight a few times in my life. My family didn't really book many flights yet. I know so many people that never traveled like internationally. People don't know this kind of thing sometimes. And I'm here to tell you, this is what happened to me, who thought like I knew I was doing, and I fell for it. And I'm gonna share some tips and tricks and how to be aware of this so it doesn't happen to you. I don't want this to happen to you. So back to my hero at Delta. There were actually two women, but the first woman, Melinda, was like she was like, I feel so bad for you. She was like, I can see on your app why you thought that that was real. I can see the changes being made on your, like on our app, on your profile, on your account, but they're not valid on my computer because we never got the money. Like, you never really changed it. You paid that person and not us. And then she was like, and because I can see how you got fooled, and because your mother-in-law just told me that, and you told me the same story, not even knowing that I'm gonna have this talk with you, I'm gonna give you a free flight home. I was like, I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. I was like, at least now I feel like I changed my flight for a huge amount, but now I can go home. Like, not at the same day, like not mid of April, but instead on the 1st of May, I'm able to go home and be at my sister's wedding on the 4th of May. My heart. Everybody, that was a roller coaster ride. So basically, long story short, we talked to her. She said we're gonna get a free flight home, and she connected us to somebody else who kind of had to listen to the whole story again because she didn't receive the information that Melinda had for her. So she was like, what? You just want to get a free flight? Like, I can't just give you that. And once she heard the story and once she was able to receive that information from Melinda, she was like, yep, this is what we're gonna do. This is screwed up. You're gonna get a free flight home. We're gonna book it for the 1st of May. Boom, I'm good to go. And I'm not missing my sister's wedding. I can't imagine if I would have walked up to the airport thinking I'm gonna go home to surprise my sister and then not being able to do that. Then I still have like maybe 15 days to book a flight to go home. That probably have cost me another like $1,500. Ooh, so much money. That's a lot of money for me. I trying to pay my student debts and then just paying another $1,500 that I already paid to go home. Like, no. Here is what I want you to do. I try to track back how I fell for that wrong number. Right now, I can't. And I really am insecure of like, how did I get there? How did I get that number? Because even if I just type in Delta customer service on Google and don't click like search or anything, right now I have the right number showing up. And this is how I heard how some people do it, that they just type in customer service Delta and then they see a number, or they just see the number on Google and dial that number, and then it's the fraud, the scammer number. You don't want to do this. Make sure you go to delta.com. Dylan did this right after we found out how I got scammed, and he tried to look up how I fell for it, and he said that the website I went for was like a delta, like .com or .com URL or org, or I have no idea. Something like super similar. The icon was the exact same. I clicked on the website. He said it was the same looking website. It just didn't really function the exact same. And when you clicked to customer service, it was the scammer's number. So make sure you go to delta.com. Nothing else after that. Nothing else. And through that website, you go and find the customer service. And once you call, usually they want you to use that chat robot. But once you find the number and you're gonna call, instead of people picking up quickly and saying hello to you and being all nice, there's usually another robot that's talking to you, trying to figure out what you want, and you answer these questions of like change flight or yes or no or something like that. That's another thing. And what I also found out on the Delta website later is to change your international flight, it's usually not more than $200. It's usually like around 170. National flights are even cheaper, but for international flights, it's usually not more than $200. And if they say that, that's when you have to be skeptical. That's when I would be like, that sounds interesting. I don't know if I believe that. And feel free. That's my biggest tip. Feel free to be like, I'm gonna call back later. I want to check on that. I want to find this. I want to see, and I want you to do your research. Not like me, who's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do, but he must be right because flights are so much more expensive now. I should have been like Dylan. I should have been like, no thank you. And hang up. Just hang up. Just hang up. And if it's Delta, it's probably not the same person that's gonna pick up the next time, and they will understand, and you can say, hey, I heard like the scam thing is going around. I wanted to do some research and make sure. They're gonna be happy that you did that because they know. That woman Melinda was like, this happens so much because she said, it's when you put in on Google Delta or Delta customer service, she said usually the first 4 websites that look like Delta are not Delta. She said it's like the one after that. They have the same icon, the website looks the same, she said, and then it's us. So be slow, take your time, make sure that the number you call is really Delta. Make sure that the money they ask you to pay for makes sense to you based on your research. Not like me, oh, that makes sense. To you, to your research. All right, everybody. This is all you can do, sadly. But that's the key. take your time, double check. I'm saying that so much because this is what could have saved me multiple $100s to not having to pay. I hope that this will never happen to you. I hope that if it happens to you, you have, once you call the actual airline, a wonderful woman called Melinda on the phone, or another wonderful person that will help you through that process, that will understand your issue, and that will hopefully give you a nice deal to still be able to go home. I'm still able to do that in some ways, and I'm so glad you listened. And if you'd like to hear more about me and my new life in the US as a German, then make sure to subscribe. I will be happy to see you in my next video. Bye.